Good morning from Limassol, Cyprus on this Saturday morning. To everyone that is celebrating Christmas today, Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday. Let's talk about some news, and let's do our last report on the Speaker of the House story. Finally, after 15 tries, it looks like Kevin McCarthy has done it. He made it. He is now the Speaker of the House. Lucky 15. That was the number that he needed to become Speaker of the House. You got to give him credit. He did not give up. He really wanted it, and he stuck it out for 15 votes. 15 votes. It's quite a lot. So we have a new Speaker of the House in Kevin McCarthy. There was a little bit of a scuffle in the House on the 14th vote. All right, let's cross over here. We get a little bit of an ocean view. It's a windy day today here in Limassol. But there was a scuffle between Mike Rogers and Matt Gaetz. And what happened is that after the representative from Florida, Gaetz, this is the 14th vote, he decided to continue to hold and not vote for McCarthy. Then McCarthy, from what I understand, went up to him and they talked. And no, I know what happened. My mistake. After the 15th vote, Matt Gaetz just voted present. And so McCarthy got in. He got all the 20 holdouts on board. Matt Gaetz was like the last holdout, and he voted present. So McCarthy went up to him. They talked. And these are rumors. These are just rumors. But both Rogers, who's a Republican from Alabama, Gaetz is from Florida. They're both on the Armed Services Committee. And Rogers is like he was the ranking minority guy in the Armed Services Committee. And so what usually happens is that if you're the minority ranking guy, if your party wins the House, you're naturally going to be the chairman. But it may be that for Gaetz is support of McCarthy is going to give Matt Gaetz the chairman position for the Armed Services Committee, and Mike Rogers might have flipped out. This is just rumor. He may have flipped out for other reasons, who knows? But they had to hold Rogers back, and he was like ready to lunge towards Matt Gaetz and start a fight. Anyway, that was just a little bit of side drama. The real story is that Kevin McCarthy, he finally made it into the Speaker's chair. Let's now talk about, let's stay with the United States. Let's stay with the United States. I was going to shift gears and talk about Ukraine, but let's walk a bit and we'll talk about 2024. And we have a potential new candidate for President of the United States. Take a guess who this potential candidate is. I'll give you a couple hints. He is a neocon, claims to be a Republican, and he looks like a walrus. That's right. John Bolton said he is going to run for U.S. president. He is going to challenge his former boss, Donald Trump. Quote, I think it's important that it's understood not just in Moscow, but it's understood in places like Beijing, that unprovoked aggression against your neighbors is not something the United States and its allies will tolerate. That is what Bolton said. He said, I think the Republican voters, people who choose the Republican nominee early, nearly 95% disagree that Trump is more important than the Constitution. He was referring to President Trump's comments last month when he called the massive election fraud, quote, revealed in the Twitter files, allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. So that's what he was referencing. Anyway, some ridiculous quotes from Bolton. He wants to send a strong message to Moscow and Beijing, and he wants to challenge Trump, and Trump is orange man bad, and Trump's to blame for everything. It's not Russia's fault, it's Trump's fault. And so Bolton now feels like he has to run for president to challenge the toxic, nasty narrative from Trump and to send a strong message to Moscow and to Beijing. So, anyone out there going to vote for Bolton? Oh boy, I think I have a better chance of becoming U.S. president than John Bolton. Anyway, let's now shift gears and talk about Ukraine. And let's go into this little area here by the beach. Probably not supposed to be here, but it's all right. Okay. So, Ukraine. We have the defense minister of Ukraine now admitting that his military is fighting on behalf of NATO, and because his military is fighting on behalf of NATO, NATO should give Ukraine more weapons, all their weapons, give them everything, because according to Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov, Ukraine is on a NATO mission. His words, Ukraine is on a NATO mission. He was appearing on the 1+1 Network's TSN channel on Thursday evening when Reznikov pointed out that at the Madrid summit last summer, NATO declared Russia the greatest threat to the US-led bloc. Today, Ukraine, this is a quote from Reznikov, today Ukraine is addressing that threat. We're carrying out NATO's mission today. Without shedding their blood, we shed our blood, so we expect them to provide weapons, Reznikov said. He claimed that his NATO colleagues have told him, both in conversations and via text messages, that Ukraine is the shield of civilization and defending the entire civilized world, the entire West. So here you're getting to about as close as an admission from a top-level Ukrainian official that this is really a NATO war against Russia, and Ukraine at the moment is fighting this NATO war. That is basically what the defense minister is saying. And he wants more weapons. He'll get more weapons, but not the right weapons, and not at the right time. He is going to be very disappointed the longer this plays out, to find out that the collective West will eventually abandon Ukraine as they have abandoned all their other failed regime change operations. But he says he has text messages. I'd like to see those text messages. It definitely looks like a lot of Zelensky officials, outside of the financial benefit that they gained from all of this, enriching themselves, they seem to have bought into the NATO promises that they are going to be the ones to deliver the death blow to Russia and to Vladimir Putin, and they're going to be the ones that lead NATO going forward. You know, they're the tip of the spear. They're the most important country for NATO at the moment, and they're going to get richly rewarded. It seems like they've bought into that narrative. Hook, line, and sinker. So these are new flats here, new apartment buildings. Del Mar, Limassol Del Mar. It's nice. Big. Expensive. I wonder how many flat Zelensky owns over here. I wonder how many he's purchased. Yeah, so that's Reznikov's statement. He's actually kind of right, to be honest. NATO has put all their chips into Ukraine. They've bet everything on Ukraine. This is true. Because Ukraine is the only way that NATO can expand eastwards outside of opening NATO branches, subsidiaries, like in the Pacific or stuff like that. The only way forward for NATO in their expansion is through Ukraine. They tried via Georgia. They're going to try via Moldova, but all that stuff is not working out so well. Ukraine is the big prize. And so they rushed in Sweden and Finland. You know, they rushed them into NATO to keep on showing their expansion. You know, they're still growing. Every business has to grow, right? Every business has to grow. That's just one of those rules of life. Businesses need to continue to expand their customer base, expand their market share. But if they can't expand via Ukraine, then there really is no need for NATO, is there? NATO kind of stops. That's it. There's no more expansion for NATO. That's why guys like Stoltenberg and all of these guys are so crazy over Ukraine, because this is all about NATO's survival. Stoltenberg is being this should be my clown world. Actually, I think this is my clown world. Stoltenberg has been nominated, the NATO Secretary General, for a Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah. Oh, cloud world. I think it was a politician from Denmark that nominated Stoltenberg. Christian Tybring-Gjedde, a Progressive Party MP. Norwegian lawmaker on Friday, nominated Jan Stoltenberg. Stoltenberg deserves the prize for his outstanding work as NATO's Secretary General in a demanding time for the alliance, Tybring-Gjedde said in a statement quoted by Norwegian media. Does the Nobel Peace Prize even matter anymore? Is it even a peace prize? Doesn't seem like it. Oh, wow. Talking about weapons being sent to Ukraine, here's an interesting story, which is that the U.S. is now going to be sending RIM-7 Sea Sparrow short-range anti-aircraft missiles, according to Politico. And the missiles, the interesting part about this story is that the missiles are expected to be fitted onto Soviet-made Buk launchers in an attempt to mitigate a shortage of munitions for the systems remaining in Kiev's inventory. The missiles, developed in the early 1960s, are expected to be included in the new upcoming military aid package to prop up Ukraine in the ongoing conflict with Russia. So they're going to be fitted onto Soviet-made Buk launchers because of a shortage of munitions in Ukraine. But I thought that during the siege of Kiev, Ukraine managed to take all of Russia's missiles and ammo and anti-aircraft and S-300s and tanks, and I thought Ukraine has more tanks right now because of the siege of Kiev than when they started the conflict. Isn't that what the collective West media has been telling us? Ukraine has so many of Russia's weapons that they don't have enough people for those weapons. I mean, it's just thousands and thousands of tanks. It's an overflow of munitions and tanks and missiles because Ukraine has seized all of Russia's weapons. So why do they need all of this stuff? And why does this stuff have to be fitted? It all has to be, this stuff has to be re-engineered to comply with the Soviet-made equipment. So maybe Ukraine really didn't grab all of the all of the Russian equipment during the siege of Kiev that the collective West claims they did. Maybe the whole seizing, the whole takeover of thousands of Russian tanks was a little bit of a fib. Fake news, maybe. I had to take a pause. We're gonna switch gears and just do a quick update in as to what is going on in Kosovo during Christmas Eve. Two Serb children, actually one Serb child, 11 years old, and his cousin, 21 years old, were in Kosovo, and they were collecting oak branches, traditionally used to celebrate the Orthodox Christmas tradition. And as they were collecting these branches, there was a drive-by shooting. And both youths did not die, from what I'm reading. Thank God. They were taken to the hospital, but from what I'm understanding, they're going to be okay. One was shot in the hand, and the other in the shoulder, and they survived. That is a Christmas blessing. But this drive-by shooting, it has stirred up tensions again. We're getting more barricades being built because, from what I'm understanding, the drive-by shooters, they were actually captured by the ethnic Albanian police, and they let the suspected shooters, or the shooter, go, according to the outlet Kosovo Online. I can't confirm this, but according to Kosovo Online, the Pristina authorities, they got the shooter, and then they let him go. So the outraged residents of Kotovusa, a Serb village near Strepce, have blocked the road and intend to protest until the perpetrator is brought to justice. They're trying to provoke and stir up tensions on Christmas Eve and on Christmas Day. An 11-year-old child collecting oak branches for Christmas Eve, really? That's who they targeted? Despicable. But then again, on Christmas Eve, minutes after Russia announced a truce, a one-day truce for the Christmas holiday, the Ukraine military shelled Donetsk as well. So, obviously, Christmas is not such a big deal for all of these guys. So let's get to let's call it our second clown world. It has to do, Stoltenberg was our first mini clown world. Our second clown world has to do with Prince Harry. And let's walk a little. Let me show you the streets of Limassol a little as we talk about Prince Harry real quick. So I think he wrote a book, or he wrote his memoirs or something like that. And these memoirs, according to the collective West media, these are brutally honest and open memoirs from Prince Harry. Brutally honest. Yeah. So he wrote his memoir. Maybe he's written more memoirs. I don't know. Well, no, Meghan Markle. I think she's written a memoir as well. And I love these gyms. I've said this before. These outdoor workout stations are the absolute best. The best. Last forever. So yeah, he wrote his memoirs, and he was very revealing in this new book. He talks about his fights with his brother, and how his brother is his nemesis. His nemesis. Sounds like Prince Harry thinks he's Batman or something. He's my nemesis. How many people have a nemesis? Like real world, real life people have a nemesis. Anyway, his brother is his nemesis. He talks about, I think he talks about like shagging a girl or something like that in like some fields So he gets into that kind of detail. He talks about his private part, his junk, and what it looks like. It's real wacky stuff, man. This guy needs help, man. But then he talks about the fact that he killed 25 Taliban fighters when he was serving, and he said that this was done out of not out of emotion. He said it's like playing chess. He just saw them as chess pieces. That was what he said when he was describing the taking out of 25 Taliban fighters in Afghanistan. And this has upset the Taliban in a big way. The Afghan government, actually. I mean, the Afghan government, they're saying that Prince Harry, he needs to be tried for war crimes. Not going to happen, but this admission is not a good look for Prince Harry. And he was trying to like make it seem like he's this cold-blooded, calculating guy, this calculating man. You know, he just saw them as chess pieces. He saw them as pieces on a chessboard, and it wasn't about emotion or anything like that. It was just, you know, one of those things that a guy of Harry's caliber does. And Paul Joseph Watson, he actually had the best take on this. He did a video on this. I'll put a link down below. And he talked about Harry's memoir. And he had the best take as to why Harry put this in the book. And why he explained it the way he did, as, you know, these are just pieces on a chessboard, and it's not about emotion and all of these things. When he was talking about the 25 Taliban fighters. And Paul Joseph Watson, he nails it. Basically, he says that Prince Harry did this in order to make himself seem like he's this alpha male type of guy, because ever since he's been with Meghan Markle, well, he's been ridiculed quite a lot, and in order to improve his persona and to make it seem like he's this tough alpha male guy, he put this in the book and he phrased it the way he phrased it. That's why, and I think that's just spot on. Whether he did do this or not, who knows? Who knows what happened? But the way he presents it, the narrative that he paints, and how it's this chessboard, and here I am taking out these 25 Taliban fighters, and it's no, you know, for me this is just part of the job. He's just trying to present himself as tough Harry, tough Prince Harry now, who has to fight his nemesis brother. His nemesis brother. Anyway, that's the clown world. I'll put a link to Paul Joseph Watson's video. He does a great job covering the memoir Prince Harry. I will end it there. theduran.locals.com. We are also on Rockfin as well. And look for us on Telegram, ODYSEE, BitChute, and Rumble. Also go to the Duran shop, 10% off. Use the code Good Day. Coming to you from Limassol, Cyprus. Take care.